Recording.
My audio is going to be on.
I'm going to go live on Facebook. Go. All right, live on Facebook, starting. Okay, let's light this fuse here. See, woo, yeah, there you go. Enthusiasm. All right, calling to order the August 11th meeting of the Carmel Mountain Ranch Sabre Springs Community Council, and I am your chairperson, Deva Edelman, and let's proceed with. Oh wait, that's not what I need. Let's proceed with roll call, see where we are. And I know that at least one person absent, and John Chu might not be able to be here till later. So I got to watch the, you know what, John Schroeder, maybe if I make you a co-host, does that mean you can see the participant thing? Like if somebody's waiting in the waiting room?
Let me try it. Haven't tried it before, but go ahead.
I'm going to make you a co-host just in case, because if there's people coming in late and I don't see them, I don't want, see if you can see the participant. Well, I guess you wouldn't know if you could see the waiting room until there was somebody in it, could you? Well, all right, never mind. Just I made you a co-host, and if that works, great. And if it doesn't, I'll keep an eye on it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and call roll and do introductions here. Dan Thompson.
Dan Thompson, business owner, resident of Carmel Mountain Ranch for a long time.
Thank you. John Chu, I'm assuming you're not here. John Chu's not here yet. Rich Craigie.
Hi, Rich Craigie, resident, Carmel Mountain Ranch. Been here a long time.
John Schroeder.
John Schroeder, resident of Carmel Mountain Ranch for a long time as well.
Mark Clark. Oh, there he is. I'm letting him in right now, so we'll come back to him. Michelle Mullen is not here. Joe Valencia. Joe.
They don't have any hours tomorrow.
Mark Clark, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Go ahead and introduce yourself for the folks.
Mark Clark, homeowner, Carmel Mountain Ranch.
Thank you. Come back for Joe, who's not in here yet. Kurt Carlson.
Kurt Carlson, homeowner for a very long time.
A very long time. All right. Dustin Leal. Dustin. Where are you, Dustin? He pops up every now and then, but not here at the moment. Bruce Bergman. Going once. Bruce Bergman. No. Okay. Larry Fontaine. Larry, I see you in here. I'm going to ask him to unmute. Maybe that.
Okay, Larry Fontaine, homeowner. I've been here for a while too.
Good deal. Yes, I will also mention I've been here a while, a long while. In fact, my wife and I were talking about this. We've lived in Carmel Mountain Ranch longer than we've ever lived anywhere else. So it's been a while. We still feel young, but it's been a while. Okay, so how many of us are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that a quorum?
Yes.
7 out of 12, yeah.
All right, good.
Hey,
That is-
Eric, real quickly, I did not get a message saying I was the co-host. So I don't think I'm able to check the waiting room yet, just so you know.
Okay, yeah, on my list, it says you're the co-host, but
Oh, it's-
well, I've got the participant thing up here in the corner, so if somebody pops in, I should see it.
All right. It
And I
says I'm the
have-
co-host. Okay, I'm the co-host, got it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't know whether or not it shows you the waiting room or not, but I guess we'll experiment with that. Okay, so I'm glad we have a quorum because we do need that for the next activity, which is I want to first approve the minutes from the July meeting or get a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve our last meeting's minutes.
Second,
Second,
who is that?
John Schroeder.
All right, Kirk Carlson and John Schroeder make the motion. Any objections to approving the minutes? If speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, unanimous consent on the July meeting minutes. I will send those to the city of San Diego. And now I would like to add an item to the agenda tonight, and that item would be, I want to put that item, where do I want to put that? I guess I'll just put it at, I'm going to, I'm going to insert it before everything else. I want to add an item to appoint a new board member who I've verified is eligible to the board. And I want to know if, let's just do it this way. Is there any objection to adding this agenda item tonight? Good. Okay, so I'm gonna add this agenda item right here, right now, to appoint Kirsten Greer to one of our vacant seats, which our bylaws say I can do or we can do. And Kirsten, can you just introduce yourself briefly? Tell us who you are and how long you've been in Carmel Mountain Ranch, and anything else you'd like to say before we appoint you.
Sure. Hey, everyone. Kirsten Greer. I'm a homeowner in the Walden neighborhood of Carmel Mountain Ranch. Have been here since 2017 and also born and raised in San Diego, brief stint in LA, and returned home to San Diego and have made my family here. So excited to be here.
Thank you. And thank you for stepping up and being willing to join us. So let's do, let's just, I mean, are there any, I will assume that if there are no objections, then we have unanimous consent to appoint Kirsten to an open seat, which runs from March of this year to March of, my goodness, March of 2023, 2 years, 2-year term. Any objections, any questions, any concerns? Going once, twice. If I had a gavel, I'd bang it. Kirsten, you're in, and thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We welcome you and look forward to working with you. And we do have other open seats, so if there are other community members out there that feel like getting involved, just contact me. And it's, as you can see, a fairly painless process. Okay, so with that, we will add Kirsten to our roster and send that into the city. And I'm going to move right into non-agenda public comment at this time. So do I have any non-agenda public comment? Keeping in mind that we do have the Trails project on the agenda.
Those onions really smell. Nice
Okay.
smell.
No non-agenda public comment. And I saw Officer Julie Dratt pop in. Are you still here, Officer Dratt?
Yes, sorry.
No, that's fine.
here.
Welcome and thank you for coming. We're ready to hear anything you've got to say.
Well, we just want to send out a thank you to those that participated in our National Night Out. I know we didn't do our typical event that we would have at the station because of the pandemic. We still wanted to go out and visit. So what we did was we went out to the block parties that Neighborhood Watches put together and hosted. And so we stopped by several of them. It was myself, the captain, lieutenants. We even had the mayor visit one, along with council member Marty Von Wilpert also attended several of them as well with us. So again, that was on Tuesday, August 3rd. So thank you for those. And also thank you to those who donated blood. We had about 15 donors, which was able to, the amount of blood that's collected was able to serve about 45 people in one day. So again, thank you to everybody. Just keep in mind, we're still in the summer months. Please keep things locked up. If you see something suspicious, report it. And by doing so, don't just talk about it on Nextdoor. It's good to talk to your neighbors, but if you actually need to file a police report, please do so by calling the non-emergency. But again, thank you. And I will open it up to questions.
Any questions? If you have a question, feel free to unmute and jump on in.
Officer Dredd, I had just a comment for you. We reported on the non-emergency line that there is a person living in what will be the new apartment complex near OG's. It's in a white car. They don't spend the weekend there, but they spend the week, and they tend to get a little agitated. So it might be helpful if we were to get somebody over there to talk to that person.
Just out of curiosity, was that reported through the Get It Done app or to the non-emergency?
It was the non-emergency line. It was not reported by me, but my neighbor. We actually had an unfortunate circumstance where people, it was apparently men that was having either health problems or drug problems, ringing my doorbell at 11 o'clock at night. But that was unrelated. But you know, we get this sort of activity going on, and we just want to keep an eye on it.
Okay, no, I will look into that.
Thank you so much.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you for being here. As always, we appreciate you and look forward to seeing you again soon.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot. And Bruce, just for the record, I saw Bruce Bergman pop in. So Bruce, if you could quickly introduce yourself just to confirm that you're here for the record.
Yeah, Bruce Bergman, homeowner, resident in Carmel Mountain. Sorry I'm late. I had another meeting, ran over.
Not a problem, Bruce. You we had a quorum already, so we went ahead and did our new appointment. Just so you know that we did that. You didn't. That's all you missed so far, and then the neighborhood police report. Okay, anyone from the CMR fire station, San Diego Fire? No. State Senator Brian Jones' office. Assembly Member Mainshine's office. Rick? No. County Supervisor Tara Lawson Reamer's office. Jeff Wen? Not here. All right. City Council District 5, Jack Hoprick from Marnie Von Wilpert's office.
Hey, everybody. Good to see
Jack.
you all. As I'm sure all of you know by now, that the Trails Project did pass the Planning Commission and is now heading to City Council. We do not have an exact date on when we might expect to see it at Council, but given that Council is on legislative recess for the month of August and the first week of September, we know that the earliest we could see it would be September 14th. So yeah, we'll continue to share with you guys any information we hear about that. But as far as we're concerned, the developer is going to want to push it to Council as soon as possible. So best probably prepare for the 14th or maybe the weeks following that. So yeah, as to what to do now for that in that effort, I would continue to engage our office, but just as important, engage other council offices. Set up meetings, engage with them, preferably try to go on the staff pages on the city site. If they have a land use policy advisor, that would be a great person to reach out to. Reach out early and often, and the earlier you reach out and the more organized you are when you reach out, I think the more powerful your message will be heard by the other council offices. In other news, the Parks Master Plan was passed recently. It's a large piece of legislation. I don't have a whole lot of information for you tonight on the specifics and details of that plan and how it's particularly and how it differs from the original or the previous version that was made public. But stay tuned. Our office will be releasing some outreach that will kind of explain, what's going to be different under this plan as opposed to the last one. And then also we were asked by, forget which DSD or planning or CIP, we were asked by some city department to as community reps to engage our community planning groups and ask you guys to come up with a list of recommended CIP capital improvement projects for your district. So that could be anything from park improvements, infrastructure improvements, roads are also included in that. I did just send over a list of roads, where we are compiling rather a list of roads, our office right now, problematic ones in all the District 5 communities. So if any of you have roads that you would like to make sure are included on that list, I know that World Trade Drive, Carmel Mountain Road, Waverly Downs Way, Gable, I'm sorry, some of the street names are a little obscure. I'm having a hard time recalling them. But I did get a handful that you guys have brought up to me before. But if any other street names or any other capital improvement projects you guys can think of, start getting those together. Eric, I'll probably be in touch with you about getting that more organized in the coming weeks.
That'd be good. That's something that popped into my head recently, as far as one thing that we could be doing is getting a list of those things together, especially as potential development coming into the area. Good time to take a look at other, infrastructure that might need assistance. So yeah, I look forward to hearing from you on that.
Certainly. Any questions? Okay, well, you can always reach me by email.
All right, Jack, we appreciate you being here. Thank you for your assistance and information. And we'll talk to you soon. Are you going to stick around?
Yeah, I'll stick around.
All right, good. Okay, Mayor Todd Gloria's office. We haven't met, well, Stephanie Estrada was the rep and then they switched and we haven't met that new person yet. San Diego Planning Department. Tony Kempton. Tony's not here. It's like that old Cheech and Chong sketch.
What a surprise.
Dave's not here, man. Okay. Scott Peters' office. No. Okay. Troy, do you have anything from CMRU?
Yeah, I'm having a bad hair day, so.
All right, well.
I'm actually in my car, so.
Just look at your picture.
Right, yeah, you can see the bad hair day joke. Sorry about that. So I just wanted to share that Carmel Ranch United will be putting out a communication fairly shortly. We're working on that now. And that's to help encourage residents to write letters to the various different city council people. And we'll put together kind of a list of topics and we want to encourage people, not to do like a form letter, but, to speak to your heart and your passions. The one thing that, we're also going to try to encourage people to do is to address it in a, manner that is short and to the point. We don't need long, lengthy letters. And I say letters, and there really should be emails. We'll provide the list of the different council people, and you can just copy them all on there. Write your letter. A volume of letters is very, very important. So we will not only we'll post to our Carmel Mountain Ranch United group. So if you're on that list, you'll get that. We'll also post on Nextdoor. I would encourage this group also to do some posting to remind people. I will communicate with the HOA, see if we can get them to post something in their communications. the city council's really the only one that counts here, and we're hopeful that there will be more willing to listen to people as opposed to dictating to people. That's our hope. And as we get closer to this hearing with the city council, I'm not sure if it's called a hearing, but we'll continue to remind people to do that. So that's how we'll be participating going forward. And I just wanted to say to this board and John Chu in particular, what a great job you guys have done over the past couple of years. You've truly done this the right way. You have been a quasi-government organization. We haven't always agreed with you, but that's okay. And I think that your voice is such an important voice in community government, even though, you know, I know we're all frustrated with the results of the Planning Commission and the way that that was operated. It seemed to me bordered on ethical incompetency. But you guys have done a great job, and I'm just proud to have had the opportunity to work with you. We'll continue to do that. But the city council is where it's at. Well, that's our next step. And, you know, let's stay positive and focused, and let's flood them with letters. And hopefully, Eric, you and your group get out there and meet with these city council people in the other districts. And we'll get, you know, if we just need five to say, you know, you haven't really worked with the community, and we're not going to allow this to go forward. So as the Padres used to say, keep the faith. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you very much for all that you and your group are doing as well. And I did begin outreach to all of the city council people today, and two responses so far. Nothing scheduled in stone yet, but we are working on it. And I'll be talking to John Chu and others about attending those meetings with me, a small subset of us. And John is not here yet and may not be able to join. And that's okay, because I don't think we're going to really come up with any new ideas tonight, or that we even really need to come up with any new ideas, only to kind of hone the message that we delivered to the Planning Commission, and then with laser focus on these city council people calls over the next few weeks, and then preparing for ultimately for the hearing, which sounds like it'll in all likelihood be September 15th. You know, it'd be nice if we had a week or two following that, but we'll see how it shakes out. Either way, we'll be ready to go. So with that, I'll open it up to board member comments on the Trails project, as it's our next agenda item.
I could say something.
Go ahead. Why not?
Well, I mean, did everybody in this meeting tonight listen to well, let's put it this way. Who did not listen to the Planning Commission meeting last week? Everybody? Joe?
Except for me.
Okay. So it was interesting. I took some notes, and I just kind of go over them quickly, just the things that I heard from certain commissioners for just, I don't know if there's some positivity in this or not, but for example, Commissioner Modern said something that it would have been nice to have single family homes. It was hard to get a visual based on the illustrations shown in the design guidelines. She likes the 50-foot buffer. And she also asked a question about why Carmel Mountain Ranch board members were locked out of the community meetings by New Urban West. Boonhauer mentioned that the submittal was light on details. He is less concerned about the deviations and waivers. The thing that troubled him the most, and he even actually said, why not 1,600 homes?
Yeah.
But he said that when you say owner occupied, you're saying no to renters, which was sort of a negative that was also seconded by Commissioner Whalen. Osuji had mentioned a couple things on the landscape that he thought were good and needed more canopy trees, maybe look into saving existing trees. I know we had that on the original workshops that we had with Urban West, but it really didn't come back because the other things were a little bit more important, I guess. But he also mentioned that these 3 city parks that New Urban West is proposing, there's no budget to maintain these things or to even put them in the hopper right now. So, and in my experience with years of working with the city of San Diego, that usually means that the park gets pushed back time-wise quite a bit. So until they can fund it. And even the parks that are built, they really are not maintained well, but that's just not either here nor there. Commissioner Austin is that the architecture needs to be at a high level, and he doesn't see anything objectionable, and he was concerned or not surprised that the Sierra Club had objections.
Sick woman here that loves heat.
So, and he wondered if there were deviations, are deviations even really necessary? So, and that this is definitely an infill project. It was light on details, but he did wonder how much back and forth did occur with the community on this, the development of these plans. And then Whalen mentioned that he agreed with the others how to protect open space. He mentioned that it might be good on the open spaces that they would be have an easement made so that they could stay that way forever. But we know how that turned out with agricultural land zones. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Deviations and waivers, he agreed with them. It could be a good thing. And then, as I said, he agrees with the dog whistle on the no renters that was expressed by Commissioner Boomhauser. The last guy, Commissioner Marlborough, who is, I guess, a retired fireman. And he was mentioning it's hard to control topography, but the fire protection appeared good to him. The homes that are being built have sprinklers. He is worried, however, about simultaneous calls. And that they did learn, or he did learn, a lot about the 2003, 2007 fires on responses. That could be something that we could look into. Just as far as finding some things that we could use. But anyway, that's my overall feeling was that they all knew how they were going to vote even before they expressed themselves. I was disappointed that they seemed to be in a hurry to get done before lunch. It was ironic that they were saying, especially Vice Chairperson Whalen, Commissioner Whalen said that I want to hear something new. I haven't heard anything new. But the problem with that kind of attitude is that if you hear the same thing over and over again, that should be a problem that you should be listening to, not differences and different things. I mean, we didn't even have time. We went from 3 minutes to 1 minute. And I heard something along the lines of 189 callers online, but I don't think 189 people spoke. So that was kind of a deception there, my way of thinking, because I don't think that people may have been online, but that doesn't mean they were signed up to speak. That's all I got.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. I mean, with some of their comments, it seemed like they heard what they wanted to hear. They really lumped us all together, which is not necessarily a bad thing. We are all one community. However, Boomhauer in particular made a few references to the community planning group that were inaccurate. He sort of scoffed at us for suggesting it should be a winery. That was, I mean, not that that was a bad idea, but it was never the planning group's position. He mischaracterized the planning group's position specifically a few times. It was, and the way I interpret that is just him sort of pushing planning groups aside in general. Not that any community member who called in had a bad idea or bad thing to say, but I did feel like he did not, he in particular did not recognize the planning group as being important in any way or separate from other comments that he'd heard. But, you know, again, this was fairly expected. This was not the outcome was not shocking. I felt the rebuke that particularly Boomhauer delivered was unnecessary, but, you know, it was not unexpected. So any other comments? Yes, sir. Yes.
Hey, this is Mark, and I actually wasn't able to make the meeting because I had a business meeting I couldn't get out of. And I guess my question is, or what the feeling I get is that these folks need, I know what you said, you know, about, you know, them hearing the same thing over and over and then wanting to hear something new. But I kind of feel like that's the case. Like the comment about somebody saying that, why not 1600, or, oh, we're against renters. I guess my question is, do these people, and I hate to be,
You broke up, Mark.
I'm gonna try to not to be sarcastic, but how do they not know the statistics about their own city when it comes to apartments? I'm sorry, I'm in the car. Sorry, you guys hear me now?
You're in and out. You're in and out.
All right, sorry, I'm in a bad area for Verizon coverage in Carmel Mountain, which is all of Carmel Mountain.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? I think I just got out of the dead zone on World Trade Center Drive.
We do hear you a little better now,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, hey, just a real quick question. I mean, do these folks not understand or realize or know that their own statistics about the community, about San Diego, about the amount of apartments, about the vacancy rates? I'm a data person, right? So I look up all this data and I sit there and go, we don't need more apartments in San Diego. And I can show you all the proof on, like, you know, city and state websites that prove that, right? What we need is more single family homes. And so for them to make comments like that of, oh, you're against renters, or why not 1600 units and all that, to me just shows either their complete lack of understanding of the situation, or I guess I'm just missing that. Do they not understand the actual real situation, or is there another agenda that is trumping like logical thinking here?
Pro development at all costs. It's really just whatever the developer's proposal is basically what they'll back. I mean, Eric has some statistics, you know, from past ones, but there's rarely a development that they see that they don't like.
Right, but my point is, why not add more single family homes, right? Okay, develop, fine. Again, I'm not happy with it. I don't want it. I get it. I'll let Troy go fight that battle, right? Go with the Sierra Club, right? But for us, if we have to swallow this pill, let's at least have homeowners, because that's actually what San Diego needs. Like, and how they can't see that is beyond me. And I don't know, that just really frustrates me. I feel like there's got to be a way that we share that with the council. And I don't know, maybe the people just don't care. I don't know.
Well, and that's sort of what I mean by he didn't distinguish, because we did, I feel, have a fairly strong message about ownership versus renting and wanting folks to be able to own. It wasn't that we didn't want renters, it was that we wanted folks who serve us to be able to own a piece of what we own a piece of. And that message was lost as soon, it seems like as soon as they hear owner occupied, their ears turn off and they've made up their mind that we're elitists who don't want renters. And it's an unfortunate attitude. I think going forward, we have to, I think the message is still a good message. We just have to be careful how we say it, I guess. And, you know, I think we have a slightly less hostile audience at city council, but at the same time have to be very careful about how we approach that one issue in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be completely frank. Yeah, go ahead.
Another thing that's, you know, disappointing is I think it was Vice Chairman Whalen and the Delano letter the way he just, was very negative on that and basically said, there's nothing here of any substance. I think that there was one thing that he picked out. I forget exactly what it was, but total disregard for that, that entire letter, and it kind of set the stage. So that that was kind of disappointing to hear the way he characterized that letter, and I thought it was very detailed, but it is what it is.
Well, the term kangaroo court was invented for a reason. I mean, that's kind of what we witnessed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I guess I'll just clarify Sierra Club's position just real quick, since they didn't quite get it, and I just want to make sure everyone else does as well. So Sierra Club is not anti all development. They supported SDSU West, for example. One of the things that was their major objection is not building any homes, but it's the fire evacuation plan, the VMT, the vehicle miles traveled, given the car nature of the community, and so that contributing to greenhouse gas with the amount of people coming into the neighborhood. And then the final one is this interesting clarification between what is truly infill. So Sierra Club's definition of infill tends to be we're converting an old shopping mall or a vacant lot or something that's really more urban infill. The Sierra Club in San Diego is calling this project more of a sprawl project because it's taking away open space and it's not really in any city center. And so just if anybody asks like what's Sierra Club's deal, they don't want all development, or that's kind of like the middle zone here that they're taking, is that this doesn't really meet the definition of infill.
Yeah, so their concern is primarily one of climate and fire evacuation, so the safety of humans and treatment of the climate and the adherence or furthering of the city's climate action plan versus sprawling out 2.5 miles from the transit center and calling it a transit friendly project. Okay, any other board member comment? There's not very many people in the room, so I mean, if I have a public comment on this, we're happy to hear it.
I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead, Bruce.
I think I agree with Kurt. I mean, his impressions were pretty spot on. I don't know any of the planning council members. I do after I looked them all up afterwards, but I kind of felt like Waylon was going to give us a fair shake at the start, and I was whacked with a funny stick when at the end, when it was clear he just really didn't care. Boomhauer had his preconceived notions, and that comment about I want to hear something new is an example of that whole council. They had come in with an understanding that they knew what the problems were, what we were going to complain about, and unfortunately they didn't even really give us a fair shake, I think. Unfortunately all of those members were appointed, and I think the responsibility falls back on the mayor to pick people who are a little more equitable and fair than the ones that we got the other day. A couple other impressions I had, and I got to be careful how I phrase this. I want to say that there are folks in our community who work in nearby fire services who do not agree that things are safe with this growth. And unfortunately, I don't think that they can speak up. And I wish they could, because I think that both the original guy who was hired by New Urban West and the council member, or the planning council member, are just taking this at face value that everything's going to be cool, and they're going to hope that we're not going to have a big fire. And 2007 is going to come again, and then afterwards they'll be gone by that point, and it won't matter. So I was kind of disappointed by that. And last but not least, I was really disappointed with the amount of lies out of New Urban West. I mean, they just flat out lied about stuff, and they said, oh, yeah, we did this and we did that, and we considered this, and it was very polished, very well done, very well spoken, but unfortunately it wasn't the truth, and I just don't know how to compete with that. So I was pretty sad about the whole thing.
Yeah. And I went back through our records regarding the 1,600 units, because that's something that keeps coming up. And, you know, I traced it back to a subcommittee meeting in October of 2019 where Jonathan Frankel mentioned the site they felt could accommodate up to 1,600 units. And he made a comment. He made a comment like, we wouldn't propose that many, but the site could hold that many. And then there was another subset of residents who, after that meeting and before the November regular meeting, a group of residents made a flyer that said something to the effect of 1,600 units are coming. So that's really the only documentary evidence that it was ever 1,600 units, frankly, is that flyer that said that, but that wasn't a New Urban West publication. And then, so the presentation that they delivered at the October 2019 subcommittee meeting did not contain a number in writing. And the presentation that they made to us at the November 2019 meeting said 1,200 units. So, I mean, I guess, you know, we're some, and then we start to sound like we're splitting hairs if we want to really get into the details on that with city council or planning commission. But the bottom line is they never officially reduced the number of units from 16 to 12, but they're gonna hang their hat on that to say that they worked with us and gave us something. So
that reminded me, one last comment. I really wish the HOA attorneys had had a chance to speak more, where they were kind of shut out. And I wish I could have, you know, donated time to them or ceded my time to them, but I already gave it up. I think they had some good comments in their letter, and she was just literally given 90 seconds, and that was it. So that was unfortunate too.
yeah, well, they'll be back to city council. And I mean, I think that one, well, yeah, they'll be back at city council. I mean, that's for sure. And I would expect that we see a very similar or exactly the same video from New Urban West at that meeting.
Eric,
Yes.
this is Lori McCarthy and my husband Dan. We were at the Homeowners Association meeting last night. They do plan putting in the next newsletter an encouragement for people to contact not only our council person, but everyone on the city council.
Yeah.
They were talking about getting a lobbyist to help them with their efforts. So I thought that was a little encouraging. I have two questions. Number one, I had several friends who live on the edge of Carmel Mountain, just across in Poway, who are very opposed to the project, fill out that online opposition form. Do we know if they will even consider opposition from someone who's not a city resident?
Well, they certainly considered comments from all over. I mean, I don't think there's any geographical restriction on people calling in. I mean, you would logically think that city council or planning commission would consider more strongly comments from people who are residents of the area, but there's no limit on that as far as I know. Jack, are you aware of any restriction on the city council comments that would bar somebody who, for instance, lived in Poway from calling in opposition?
No, not at all. We have people from outside of the city calling support and opposition of projects all the time. If you guys are, I remember the police, when we were talking about police budget, we got phone calls from all over. So yeah, there's everything about that is okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the same for the Aliante or Reliant or whatever the heck that little, yeah, they stacked the deck. They had 20 or 30 contractors from not even in San Diego who were commenting in support of it. So
yeah.
My second question is, on top of the letters and emails that we'll be sending to the city council, would it be worthwhile to do petitions so that it's easy for someone to just stop by a table and sign and say, yes, I'm opposed to this?
I don't see any problem with a petition. Again, I'll kind of defer to Jack as to how those are viewed at city council level, whether that carries more weight than a letter or if it's all the same. Jack, what do you say about that?
Yeah, as far as the petition goes, it wouldn't hurt. It may be a heavy lift on your end to go about organizing and collecting those signatures. But if you feel like you could, organize that same amount of people who would be signing to all send the same letter to a council office, I think that would be, just as substantial.
Okay.
Thank you, Jack. One other adjunct to that. We're looking for an effective way to have our voices heard, because the common thread over the last couple of years as this process has proceeded is that the residents really have been given short shrift, really have not had the opportunity to make their voices heard. The Planning Commission has just shoved this thing down, and it's disconcerting. And Marnie, as our new representative, I know is aware of some of that stuff, but I would ask you to please let her know that one of the most important things to us as residents who are most impacted by this is that the process has been flawed, and we need help. We need your help. And we're going to ask that of the other council people too. But if you would please bring that message to Marnie and let her know that we're extremely upset about how we've been treated in this whole process. Why even have community groups to advise if they're just going to be completely pushed aside? So anyway, that's what I'd like you to ask.
I just would like to say, we hear you. This is our first experience, touching any kind of project like this, seeing this go through all the different processes at the planning department. The Junipers was a little further along when we took office, so we got to see this for a little longer, and definitely questions have been raised within our office about how this process is going, the transparency and the accountability of development services and planning and holding the developer accountable to going through those processes and doing so responsibly and in good faith. So that's something that questions are arisen, and we're trying to look at that process critically. We hear things from you about getting blocked out from meetings and, about, just not feeling, when we hear from the community that there isn't a good faith effort, that's troubling to us. So Marnie I've been continuing to make Marnie aware of this, and I will continue to do so going forward.
Thank you, Jack. I would ask that we just that one of our focuses ought to be, this train has gone down this track way too quickly, without appropriate detail, without appropriate input from the stakeholders. I mean, real honest input from our stakeholders. So we're going to look to do more of that, and that's one of the asks that we're going to make of Marnie and the other city council members is slow this thing down. There's a lot of work to be done.
Eric, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Of Jack. Jack.
Sure thing, Kurt. What's up?
Well, something I didn't catch the real details on at the meeting on why Commissioner Hoffman recused himself, and then I heard later that he actually had done some work for one of the consultants on the team. Is that the correct? Is that the fact?
Yeah. So I was not aware why Commissioner Hoffman was not present at that meeting. So this would be the first that I'd be hearing of any commissioner's affiliation with the project at all. I'd be happy to look into that, but hopefully it's.
Well, not that it makes a difference, probably just based on it was, I guess, 6-0 for the project by the PC group, but Commissioner Osuji used to work. He's a landscape architect. He used to work for a firm called ONA. It was actually, he owned the firm, and they did work for Macmillan. And Macmillan Group, if you guys know who Kathy Reiser is, who works for the Atlantic firm that's really the hub and the wheel running this project for New Urban West. We're sort of managing all the connections with the city and the different governmental agencies, that kind of a thing. And Kathy Reiser was the project manager for a lot of projects that Dennis ran. And so, why didn't he recuse himself? I mean, why he shouldn't have been voting for this project if my understanding of the way Commissioner Hoffman recused himself. Now all we need is 3 more. Would have the same issue. I mean, everybody has worked for everybody in this town at one time or another. And, you know, it just seems a little cozy to me. If that's the reason, then, you know, Dennis Osuji should have to recuse his vote.
Yeah, well, you know, we certainly don't.
Can you find something out on that for us?
Yeah, you know, if there is a conflict there, you know, we'll certainly want to uncover that. We want, you know, all these decisions to be, you know, straight and above board. So yeah, Kurt, I'd be happy to work with you, you know, on that in the coming days, and just to make sure that there were no conflicts, or yeah, just to, you know, make sure everything was up to snuff.
Kathy was a client for over 20 years for Dennis's firm.
Yeah, well, you know, that's something, you know, the city attorney's office will have some insight for us there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's any surprise. I mean, that it's sort of a good old folks network. I don't want to say good old boys network, because that's, you know, exclusive of other genders, but you know, I think we expected this from the Planning Commission, and I agree with you. It's, you know, but ultimately it's going to City Council. So I mean, one way or another, even if we manage to get it, you know, shoved back to the Planning Commission, I think that they're finding a way to get this in front of the City Council. So that's certainly our primary focus. But you know, Kurt, you do have some valid points there, and you know, you more than anybody, I think, in the room have been involved in this community. When I say this community, I mean development for your career. So you know the players and who work with who and all that stuff. So it's, if nothing else, it's interesting to hear it.
Yeah, I guess just for those of you who don't know who Kathy Reiser is, Kathy Reiser used to work for Presley of San Diego and was one of the originators in the development of the Carmel Mountain Ranch master plan and marketing efforts that went on here. And then my company did work for the Presley Group back in the day. So,
well, and that's that's like one of the comments that I forget which commissioner said something to the effect of, you know, back when we were looking at Carmel Mountain Ranch originally, you know, everybody was against it, and look how great it is now, and essentially how this was just going to make it better.
Eric,
yeah.
Can I speak for a moment? Just
of course, please.
I usually don't speak up a whole lot. I think, you know, we need to look back at what we did wrong or didn't do wrong, whatever, for the Planning Commission meeting. Obviously, they didn't care. I've put some notes down for myself just to remember what I want to say. They didn't care. They really didn't want to listen to us. They shut Troy's group down. They gave him 1 minute to speak. You know, I think what we need to work on is what we're going to do in the future to bring a case in front of the City Council. And that's where we need to put our focus on, is what message and how we're going to do it as a community group. And I'm not sure, I know we're tied to certain governmental regulations, what we can actually do, but I think there's a lot of things we can do, you know, with video, emails, you know, get some people out there who have, you know, some kind of presence in the community besides just us to do something. And I think that's what we need to look at.
Well, that was one of the, Dan, one of the objectives going into the Planning Commission meeting was, because we, you know, I've had a lot of conversations with various people, you know, HOA, Sierra Club, you know, we've met with Marnie von Wilpert's office.
Well, which I would say, it appears to me that Jack is the only one who cares. Thank you, Jack. But
Well,
everybody else doesn't seem to care.
Well, Jack and I mean, Marnie's office in general has been very receptive to hearing us. And so that, and I said that, you know, directly to her just the other day, is that, you know, we do see Jack at all of our meetings. Jack is responsive. Marnie, you know, has popped up at our meetings. We never, in however long Mark Kersey was in office, saw him at any of our meetings. And in fact, his former rep was one who called in as a young lady who wanted to rent and couldn't. And I mean, she called in support of the project. And I know that she now works for the San Diego Chamber of Commerce, the regional chamber, who also called in support of that. And I'm actually pretty active in the San Diego Regional Chamber, and asked my rep if I could get an audience with their land use people, just so they could hear you know, another viewpoint than the one they've already heard. I mean, anyway, there's a lot to dissect with what happened at the Planning Commission. Ultimately, the community planning group, which is what we are, has a specific charter, and essentially we are part of the city government. Somebody chatted me here in the meeting to say, you know, can we be represented by a lawyer? I mean, the community planning group is represented by the city attorney, I think, just like any other branch of the city government. So we're somewhat limited in terms of that. I mean, the HOA has attorneys. You know, the Sierra Club, who's opposed the project in its current form, has attorneys. The community planning group doesn't really have attorneys. We don't have the ability to hire attorneys or be represented by attorneys. So anyway, it's up to us to take a look at what we presented to the Planning Commission and decide whether or not we want to make some tweaks to that. John Chu isn't here tonight to really talk about it. I know he's already got some ideas, some, you know, things that could have been better, things that, you know, included, excluded, all that sort of thing. Ultimately, the arguments remain pretty similar, but there are some, you know, tweaks that we can make to our presentation as a planning group. And I know that, you know, I would expect the HOA is going to have, I don't know how their attorney is going to be presenting themselves at the city council hearing, how, you know, whether they plan to, whether they don't, up to them, obviously. But I think that the city council people are a different group than the Planning Commission. They, you know, I think that by and large, they probably think that building more housing is a good idea in general. I think they all kind of share that in common. However, I also think that they are more receptive to other arguments. And again, we're not saying don't build anything. So I don't know. I feel like we're going to get a more fair hearing at city council, but at the same time, that doesn't mean we rest on our laurels and just do the same thing. We're setting up, we're in the process of setting up meetings with all of them. You know, I've got a subset of us that are and have been involved in the creation of the original presentation. So, I mean, if anybody on the board wants to be, you know, more included in the meetings with city council folks, I mean, let me know. I think we've got a pretty strong group of us already, and then, you know, private citizens need to do what they need to do. So I don't know if that addresses your original question or not, Dan. I might have gone off on a tangent there.
No worries.
So any other comments from anyone in the audience? Any, you know, questions for us or Jack, or comments in general? Okay, so I mean, we're working on this. I mean, we're doing absolutely everything we can do. and we've gotten advice on what we can do. You know, our own city council person cannot take a position. None of the city council people can take a position until it comes before them. However, between Jack and Marnie and other people in Jack's office, you know, they have guided us in terms of, if you want to speak to other city council members, here's how to do it. Here's, you know, certain issues are like third rails, don't touch those. You know, I mean, they've given us guidance as much as they can, which again is more than I can say for our previous representation in District 5. So, I mean, I feel good about that up to this point, and, you know.
Hey, Eric.
Yes.
Hey, this is Mark. If I can ask you a quick question about that, and I apologize if I missed it in an email or something, but you know, when I go into a debate or an argument or that kind of thing, I like to understand where the other person's starting from and their base point. And it seems like the Planning Commission and possibly also the City Council have a point of view, right? They have a mandate or whatever. So do we have a good understanding, or is there a link that Jack or somebody or you can send us about what is the current official city, state, whatever view on what needs to happen with housing? I mean, I know in general they talk about 100,000 units, right? That seems like a number, right? But what about that? Like, it feels like, you know, 6-0, the Planning Commission all but ignored our 13-0 vote that said we don't want this plan, and there has to be reasoning behind it. And I can't be cynical and just say, oh, well, all they care is about development, but there's got to be more detail about it and behind that. And I feel like if we speak to that in our arguments, that might help us more. So does anybody have that sort of laid out, exactly what the city's official stance is on housing in San Diego?
Jack is putting a link in the chat.
This is from Mayor Gloria's office from a July press release on his Homes for All, Housing for All initiative. So that'll probably have a little more information there about, you know, some of the bigger picture housing initiatives for the city.
And in general,
so, yeah, Eric, what you'll have my commitment. I'll take a look at that and I'll break that down, because this is the thing I'm passionate about.
Okay.
I really believe everything that I've heard and seen is right. It's not just about people, but do I have a bias against people in apartments? No, I lived my whole life in apartments. I grew up poor. I never lived in a house my whole life until I lived here, you know, and so I get it, right? But, you know, there's also a need for homes and for people to build equity, and for underrepresented, diverse, equity, you know, individuals to own homes too. And this project really, truly doesn't address any of that at all. And that pisses me off, honestly, pardon my French. So let me take a look at this link and break it down a little bit and see if we can make arguments that say, hey, look, you know, this is your charter. This is how this project doesn't meet the charter. And that maybe might get people to listen a little bit more, but I don't know. I don't know what I don't know yet. Let me take a look at the link and I'll get back to you, okay?
Yeah. And, you know, feel free to email me, Mark, copy, whoever. I mean, always, you know, there's concern about collective concurrence outside of meetings, but this group has made its position well known. I don't really feel like we're violating any tenet of the Brown Act by emailing each other outside of the meetings. I mean, we're well on the record as far as how we feel about this project, and so we have voted. So I'm, you know, whatever your thoughts are, Mark, you know, feel free to summarize in an email and share it with us, and I'll share it with the group. And, you know, if any of that is helpful towards making our presentation stronger, then we can certainly use it.
Yeah, we'll do.
And in particular, make sure to copy John and Kurt on anything, just because John is sort of the primary keeper of the overall presentation that we're giving, I guess.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't, and I hope nobody feels like they've been excluded from participating in the creation of or the formation of our position. I'm just basically working with those that have, you know, done work and submitted it. So we're open to any and all suggestions. So
Yeah, no, not at all. I don't feel that way. I've just been really busy with work, but I'm starting a new job at work here in 2 weeks. So I kind of got a 2-week lull, which is kind of perfect timing. So over the next couple of weeks, I'll take a look at that, dive deep, and give you some data back.
Good. Yeah, it's and that's kind of the thing, and that we're all volunteering time here, so we don't have staff, and we don't have lawyers, and we don't have a lot of things that the other side has, but we do have a community, so that's important.
Hey, just quickly, Eric. So something that I really stood out for me during that meeting that kind of like shuts down any argument of this from us. I forgot the term they called this, a transit priority area. They're using that to push us through, and they really signaled that they all understand that that's just the technicality rule that they're able to use. Because I mean, we kind of brought forth, hey, there's not really any transit there. It's only on one corner, and they just kind of told us in that meeting, hey, it just touches a corner, so technically the whole area is considered. So I think for any argument we have, we really don't have any argument about that in the future, because they really told us that doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make any difference. Buses don't go there, that it's only on a corner. So that's kind of like a dead argument for us.
Well, that's one of the things the Sierra Club seems to be most concerned about, in addition to the evacuation stuff, though, is I believe the city ordinance around transit priority areas extends a half mile from that TPA, which is where the MTA center is there. And a lot of this project is further out from the TPA than half a mile. So, yeah. And I think that's where, like John's presentation, and John has mentioned many times that, we're kind of conceding, you've got us on the TPA, but
and Boomhauer even said something to that effect. And I was actually hoping it wasn't that way, but he said, because that one tiny little corner slice is within the TPA, he says, I'm going to grant it to the whole project, even though it's 3 miles away. Right? So,
and, I mean, I suppose that's, if they want to say that, that's their discretion, but I don't believe that's what the actual ordinance spells out.
I think I remember somebody asking a city person, I think from the Development Services Department, what if they could get some kind of final word on whether all the properties had to be within the TPA. And the answer to me was kind of vague, kind of like, well, this is the way we interpret it here at the city. And then the Planning Commission just kind of waved it on through. But, a lot of these arguments that we're making, I think, could still be open questions. I don't think we should drop any of them. I think we should continue to make them, because, we're going to be in front of a different body, the city council. And, who knows what happens after the city council. I mean, these arguments, I think, are still valid. I don't really know if they've been settled. I don't think they're settled.
Well, they're all valid arguments. However, we, again, at the city council are going to have a finite amount of time to present our case. Sierra Club will do what they're going to do, and their arguments, I believe, are going to lean heavily on vehicle miles traveled and the TPA and all that sort of thing. So, I mean, to the extent that we can let other entities make more of these points so that we can focus on our strongest ones, which I still believe, and I think a lot of people still believe, that our strongest arguments are made on the precedent already set by what's been approved in the region recently. And the fact that this far exceeds that in the number of units, I mean, I still believe that's our strongest argument as a community planning group. I'm not saying none of these other arguments are strong. I'm just saying, as the community planning group, arguing the precedent that's already been set is our strongest argument.
Right. I think we're saying the same thing. I mean, when I say we should continue to make these arguments, I just mean the community.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
But sure.
Right. Excuse me. One of my, I was going to mention. I'm sorry.
Our group can't say everything, and other groups, we don't want to repeat, what the other groups are saying. that much. So yeah, I guess I'm talking we as a community.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, as we all know, Carmel Mountain Ranch is a car-centric community, right? And we have this TPA, and TPA is actually a very good idea. It's an excellent idea. You know, the idea behind TPA is that you build around true transit centers, and you can build buildings without parking. So, because people can use mass transit, you know, buses, trolleys, et cetera. And the cost of housing comes down because it costs $50,000 to build a parking space. But trying to apply that to Carmel Mountain Ranch does not work. It won't work. We won't have a light rail in the overall master plan for the Sandag. We have apartments here, and it's proof, right? I mean, all you have to do is go to the apartments that we have, and there's massive on-street parking. And the transit center is there. So if the transit center works so good, why do we have all this massive on-street parking? So to say we shouldn't make that argument to a body like the city council, I mean, somebody needs to change the TPA designation, and the city council could do that as it relates to actual mass transit. Right? So one bus running downtown is not mass transit. I mean, it works great for if you go downtown. It was designed as a park and ride, essentially. You drive your car. If you work downtown, you park there, and then you take the last leg in on the bus, and it works great for that. And so does the one in Escondido and, you know, Rancho Bernardo. That's what that's what they put them there for. But what developers are doing is they're leveraging this brand new law, by the way. That TPA law just came into place a little over 3 years ago, and it really hasn't been tested. Now we're getting it tested in our backyard, and it won't work. I mean, we can't not make that argument. I think we'd be making a mistake because it's a very good argument. Thank you.
Okay, so anyone else? All right, it seems like we've talked about this one tonight, and we're certainly not done talking about it. And you know, everybody's points are very valid, and I think that there was definitely some coordination between groups prior to the Planning Commission, and there will be coordination of messaging prior to the city council. And, you know, we'll decide who's making which arguments, and if there are going to be repeats of arguments by different groups or different aspects of the same argument. But I'd say let's move the agenda along here tonight. And there's really nothing else. We don't have any old business, new business action items. So if there's no objection, let's adjourn for now and go back to work on this. I've got a lot of city council people I'm trying to schedule meetings with, and I know others are looking at other information. And so let's keep in touch. And I guess it makes sense we'll figure out when we can schedule a subcommittee meeting, likely at least one, if not, well, probably two of those between now and the next planning group meeting in September. And at this point, we're waiting for new guidance from this. Well, I guess the city is waiting for new guidance from the state, and we're waiting for new guidance from the city, because the relaxed Brown Act requirements that allow us to meet virtually expire, I believe, at the end of September. So definitely meeting virtually in September. After that, we're awaiting guidance, which I assume will probably be forthcoming, and based on a variety of things, including what's now happening with rising case numbers and so forth. So if there's no objection, we'll go ahead and adjourn for now, and I'll get back to everyone about when the subcommittee meeting is happening this month. All right, hearing no objection, I'm going to go ahead and say that we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and we'll see you soon.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.